please explain to me what is Maya. And Swami Vivekananda said, ask something else.
If everything is Maya, then what about evolution? If the real world is unreal, just a projection of Maya in our mind and consciousness, then how come we all experience the same world? The projections in different minds could be different, just like our dream experiences are different for each individual. But we all experience the same real world, so how can we say that this real world doesn't actually exist? And then Shorkin asks, if we are like waves in the ocean of consciousness, why do we singularly as well as collectively see the same patterns in the world? For example, notions of joy, sorrow, good, evil. If Jivan Muktas have realized Brahman, which is infinite, how can they interact with the finite and for what purpose? A wave does not know its true nature, for it to know that it is infinite, it should have an identity distinct from the infinite, else there is nothing to know and by no one.
All right, these are very deep philosophical questions. Questions about Maya. Brahman is a simple fellow. The Absolute is a pretty simple guy, But Maya is difficult. Maya is basically the principle in Advaita Vedanta where the one appears as the many. The old question in metaphysics is, how does the one become the many? And there are different ways of reconciling this. One approach is the materialistic approach, which says there is no one ultimate reality. It's a pluralistic world and multiple realities. So some philosophies, the Charvakas, the ancient Indian materialists, or even the logicians, the Vaisheshikas, Nyayikas, they were pluralists. There are multiple realities. So the one is denied. There is multiplicity. That's the reality. Modern science would sort of fall in this category, except that there is still the search for the grand unified theory. We're trying to understand if everything came from one reality, ultimate reality. Sankhya would say that both are parallel. The one and the many are parallel. There is the consciousness, which is again multiple. Like each person is an infinite awareness. Not one infinite awareness, but multiple infinite awarenesses. And the physical world outside is actually, all of it is a transformation of one Prakriti, one nature. That is Sankhya. It's basically a dualism of consciousness and matter. Then Vishishtadvaita, qualified monism, would say the one and the many are parts of the one. There is one reality, and the many are parts of it. So just as I am one, but here is one body, and the hands and the legs and the head and the tummy, they are all parts of one body. Similarly, one Brahman, one Absolute, and the material universe, and also sentient beings like us, we are parts of that Absolute. That's another way of dealing with the problem of the one and the many. What does Advaita Vedanta say? Non-dual Vedanta. It says the many is an appearance in the one. There is only one reality, and it is experienced as many. Why would the one be experienced as many? That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the principle which does not make the one into the many, but makes the one appear as the many. It's like if you look at the ocean, you have 10,000 waves in the Atlantic Ocean. From the point of view of waves, you have 10,000 entities, thousands and thousands of entities. But if you change your perspective and look at it as water, it's one body of water. So, one pure being in which all of this appears and is experienced and disappears. So, you can see the connection of this with the meditation which we just did. So, Maya. Then what is Maya? And that's a very difficult question in Advaita Vedanta, much more difficult than Brahman. I'm reminded of somebody who asked, a disciple who asked Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was particularly pleased with the disciple and said, "You ask me anything?" And he said, please explain to me what is Maya. And Swami Vivekananda said, ask something else. And the disciple said, it's recorded, the disciple said, if getting a teacher like you, I do not understand what Maya is, then I'll never understand it in my life. So that's the answer I want. And then the disciple records that Swami Vivekananda started speaking to him, and it was a tremendous experience. The disciple says that the room literally started spinning around him, and that's the experience he got. And the external world seemed to disappear, and his own body and Swami Vivekananda's body, from his own experience, it seemed to disappear, where in this great mass of luminosity, there was only the voice of Vivekananda speaking. And then this disciple, he burst out saying, oh Swami, this is the only reality, and everything else is an appearance. It's all Maya, it's an appearance. Even you and your, even this work, the Ramakrishna mission, the order which you are starting, all this work that you're starting, it's all Maya, it's an appearance. And here, you're speaking in Bengali. So in Bengali, like in different in Indian languages, when you address somebody else, there are different, it represents, the term that you use, the pronoun you use, it represents different levels of intimacy. So with a revered elder, you would say apni. With somebody who is very close to you or a child, you would say tumi. Now, he's a disciple, and Swami Vivekananda is his guru, so he should say apni to Swami Vivekananda. That's what he always did. But he suddenly thought, why am I calling Swami Vivekananda tumi, which is used for somebody of very close to you, intimate to you, or to to a little child? The moment he thought that, the world snapped back into place. And he could see Swami Vivekananda sitting there and smiling at him and saying, yes, that is true. What you just said, it's true. If you can realize that, be one with Brahman and be done with it. If you cannot, then come and help in this work. I'm not trying to avoid the question. The questions are about Maya. There was a question on evolution, and two questions which were similar across the two persons who asked, why, if all this is a projection, why are we all seeing the same reality? That was the second question. The third question was, the Jivan Mukta, the enlightened person, must have a separate identity to realize the oneness. If there's only one reality, who realizes what? So these are the questions. These are related to Maya. The first, let me take the second question first. Why do we share a common reality if it's a projection? The underlying thinking is, like in a dream, we understand our dreams are projections of our minds. In our dreams, we all have individual dreams. If I saw you yesterday in my dream and I had shared a cup of coffee with you, you wouldn't remember that, because what all that happened, the cup of coffee and you and I in the dream, they're all projections of my mind, and you did not share that experience. So each person has a separate dream. If this world is indeed somehow dreamlike, because the dream example is used so much, if this world is indeed somehow dreamlike, how is it that we are all sharing this experience? Not only that, later on if you meet each other, you would all agree, yes, we were there for the class on Sunday at Vedanta Society. So we had a shared reality. Then how can you say this is dreamlike? This is definitely something real because it's out there and we are sharing it. Do you see the question? The answer is, it's very simple. If you look at the dream example itself, in the dream, you are there, other people are there, and you are experiencing a common shared reality. Is that not so? This one itself, right now, it could be that we are dreaming, that you are dreaming, not us. We are all part of your dream. You could snap up, sit up, and oh my God, it's already 12 o'clock and I missed the talk at the Vedanta Society. I was napping. It could be. There's nothing impossible about it. And in your dreams, you always think that you're awake. She asked, but I'm awake now. But in your dreams, we always think, we don't think in our dreams, I am sleeping in my bed and dreaming. We don't think that. We think we are awake. We think that we are in a community of people sharing the same objective reality. the same places, the same food, and the same talk, and everything is like an objective reality. We don't doubt it for a moment. So how can you say, so exactly like that. Now the difference is only this. Our dreams, from our waking perspective, our dreams are definitely different because they're projections of our individual minds. Here, it's not a projection of an individual mind, it's an appearance in one consciousness. So this is the thinking that Gaudapada uses in the Mandukya Karika, in the Mandukya Upanishad, Mandukya Karika. So in principle, there is nothing to distinguish, in principle, your dream from your waking experience. In both, you seem to share a public reality with others. It's only from another point of view you realize that it was all an appearance. So from your waking point of view, everything in the dream is, you understand it was a projection of my mind, the dreamer's mind. From the Turiya, the enlightened person's point of view, from the Atman point of view, you realize that everything was in awareness. The meditation we did now, just before this session, did you notice what I said, that we were noticing all the sounds in awareness? You see, we noticed all the sounds in awareness, not just sounds. Thoughts, feelings, perceptions, all kinds of sensations, they were all in awareness. That's what is meant by being projected in awareness. We still have this idea that, yeah, there's a sound outside and I'm aware of it. There are two things. There's a real sound outside and I'm aware of it. That's what we think. But if you think a little more deeply, you'll see that whatever you are aware of, it's all in your awareness. You are never aware of two things, your awareness and a sound outside your awareness. You see, what I'm saying is, this piece of paper and this clock, they are two things, separate things. How do you know? You can see the clock without the paper. You can see the paper without the clock. Right? And that's the proof that two separate entities. They can be experienced separately. But your awareness, the awareness which we are, and the objects of that awareness, sounds, thoughts, feelings, emotions, they cannot be experienced separately like this, one without the other. You cannot experience, obviously, by definition, experience requires awareness. You cannot experience a sound without your awareness. Every object is experienced in awareness. That's what is meant by saying that they are all projections of awareness. Let me just complete this. Evolution, the question of evolution, the reason why the questioner has asked this, I think, is that how could this tremendous diversity, which can be explained by evolution, how could you say it's a projection? The reason the person is asking that is, somehow it's in our minds that this universe, physical universe, is a projection of our limited mind. But that's not what Vedanta says. It's not what Vedanta says. It's a projection in Brahman, in the Absolute. And evolution can definitely be accounted for. You can accept evolution easily. See, the beauty of Advaita Vedanta is it does not deny or go against any established scientific doctrine. One should not. It easily accommodates that. What does evolution explain? It explains the multiplicity of living forms. How did all these plants and animals come about, this diversity? All of this and the evolution which produced all of them, they are all experienced in awareness. That's all that Advaita Vedanta is interested in. They're experienced in awareness. They all share being, isness. That isness is Sat, pure being. That awareness is Chit. And that's what Advaita is interested in. Before we became aware of Darwinian evolution, what held sway was a kind of creationism. That the theistic religions of the world said that God created all of these things. Fine. But all of these things, they share being, including God. That's all that Advaita is interested in. God and His creation, blessed both are, they all share in existence. That being, that in fact, Even in Christian mysticism, it is called the ground of God, the ground of being. That's what Advaita is talking about. And I mentioned this earlier. The first scholar to write an English Sanskrit dictionary, Monier Williams, he writes that these ancient Hindus were Darwinians 1,000 years before Darwin. Not that there was a full-blown theory of evolution. There wasn't. We're not making such claims. But you can see the seed of that, the prototype of that. For example, even the Dasha Avatara, the 10 incarnations, you see the bodies the incarnations are supposed to have inhabited. From fish to a tortoise to an animal body, a boar, to a half animal, half human body, to a human body, and so on. I think, and the enlightened person, the question about the enlightened person must have an individuality to experience oneness. No. You see, the individuality can be a part of the appearance. And the oneness is the reality behind the appearance. To experience something, to know something, you must have definitely a body-mind. But that body-mind refers back to that background existence consciousness. The wave, that's a good example. The wave can continue to exist as a wave, but understand that itself and all waves and the entire ocean is one mass of water. You can have both. You can have an underlying unity and an appearance of diversity. You can have an appearance of individuality and the reality that there is an absolute behind that individuality. Both are possible, and that is what is happening right now. See, our problem is this. We take the individuality, it's as if the wave thinks of itself as wave only as a wave. And it sees other waves around it. It does not see the underlying unity of water. That we are all one substance, one reality. It does not see that. So it sees itself as cut off from all others. Its infinitude is lost. As Vivekananda said, this universe is the wreckage of the infinite on the shores of space, time, and causation. The universe is a wreckage of the infinite on this. Only Advaita Vedanta says that it's not wrecked. It only appears fragmented. The underlying unity is preserved. Brahman is still there. It's not that it was an absolute, now it is broken up into all these pieces, all of us, and one day after the universe ends or something like that, we will all be one, or after enlightenment we'll all become one. No. The oneness of water is preserved, even if there are thousands of waves on the surface of the ocean. It's still one body of water. It is water and water only. What else is there in the ocean except water? Only water. Similarly, what else is here except existence, consciousness, bliss, Brahman? Only being. And this appearance goes on within this existence, consciousness, bliss.